Today I'm going to be tying up the Mayor's Mysis. This is a Mysis shrimp pattern tied by Landon Mayor. He fishes the South Platte region quite a bit, has for a long time. He also reads a book that I've loved to read. It's called Colorado's Best Fly Fishing. This fly is going to be started with a size 18 TMC 101 dry fly hook. That's what we have in the vise right now. And then we're just going to go ahead and start by adding some white thread. And I'm going to work my way all the way down to just in front of the hook point. And then I'm going to trim off, and that is the beginning of this fly. All right, so next, what I like to use for this part is called Sexi-floss. It's kind of like the Flexi-floss that you would use for your Pat's rubber legs. But what I do is I buy the white in size medium. And then those ones are going to be a little large for the legs or the arms of the shrimp here. So what I've done is I've taken a X-Acto knife, just like this, and you take the Sexi-floss, and what you do is you stick the X-Acto knife right on the middle of one of these strands at the end, and you pull the strand back and it'll rip a little cut right in half of the Sexi-floss, and then you can actually start to pull it apart just like thread, and it actually pulls apart into much smaller pieces. So then we get strands like this size, and that's what I'm actually going to use for the legs. So what I've done is I've folded that over and I've gone ahead and cut it, and then I'm going to fold it over one more time and I'm going to cut it again. And usually 4 or 5 strands is pretty good. I'll just do 4 in this case, that way I can tie up a few flies. So once you get them in a strand kind of put together like that, what you're going to do is tie those into the hook. You want to make sure that these are tied down on top, so I'm going to use a pinch wrap here, and then start heading back on the fly. Just a couple wraps to secure it, and then you can actually snip off the tag there. Okay. And then I'm just going to kind of hold these on top of the back of the hook and go down to the hook bend. I don't want to go too far into the hook bend, just down to it is fine. All right. And then I'm going to stop my thread back up at the hook point. Next thing we're going to tie in is medium pearl tinsel. So same thing, we're going to use a pinch wrap, and then when I pinch wrap, I'm just going to pull it back, pull it tinsel back so that it's pretty close to the back of the body. Wrap a couple times. Again, this is one you want to keep on the top of the hook to the best of your ability. And I'm going to stop there so I don't go too far into the hook bend. All right, so the next thing we're going to do, we're actually going to do the same eyes that we did on the last Mysis video that I tied up. That is with a monofilament piece of fishing line. So we're going to cut a small piece, and then we're going to do an X wrap to get it locked in there. So you set this little piece on the hook. I'll show you here in just a second. Okay, and then you just do these kind of crossing wraps. So I have 2 wraps right there on one side and crossing wraps on that side. I like to get them nice and tight, or else the eyes tend to move around a little bit on the fly. So I'll do one more going this way, one more going this way. That should be good. And then do a couple wraps behind and a couple wraps right in front. That should hold it down pretty good. All right, so then you're going to advance your thread to the hook point. All right, so next we're going to take a lighter and we're just going to light these monofilament ends and burn them down into little balls right next to the hook. Don't let them burn through your thread though. So there's one side, and there's the other side. I like to make them really short. They kind of look like dumbbells, like you would lift weights with, so make sure your dumbbells are really short. And we're just taking a Sharpie here, and we're going to color in the eyes making sure that we avoid coloring the white thread. This could possibly be the most important part of the fly, just making sure you get nice dark eyes. I usually color them once, and then I go back over and I just tap them a couple more times, make them nice and dark. Now you should see those eyes really well. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take an ostrich hurl, and we are just going to clean up the back 1/4 inch or so of it so that we can tie it easily to the hook. So I'm going to use a pinch wrap to secure, and then I'm going to wrap back on the hook just past the eyes, tie it into the eyes, and then advance that thread back forward just in front of the point of the hook. All right, so now we've got in the back here the Sexi-floss legs underneath, and we have the tinsel tied in, and then on top we have this ostrich hurl. You can use hackle pliers if you want. I like to use my fingers, I get a little more control. So I'm taking this ostrich hurl and I'm just gonna twist it right behind the eyes. I usually do 2 wraps behind the eyes, just get it nice and fluffy there. And then 2 wraps, 3 wraps in front of the eyes. So there's 2, there's 3. So that's about good right there. And then I'm gonna take my thread and I'm gonna capture the ostrich hurl 3 times. Then I'm going to pinch low, pop that ostrich hurl off. All right, and then I'm gonna clean up the end here. I'm gonna wrap up 1 more time and then just back to where we were. Cleaned it up kind of nicely. So now you have this really slender hook point. So what we're gonna do now is we're actually going to pull that tinsel forward, and we're gonna pull it right on top of that ostrich hurl. And we're gonna do a couple securing wraps to just past where the legs are. And then I believe what happens next is we're going to kind of spiral it like we would with a wire on a zebra midge or something similar. I'm just gonna spiral it up, keep spiraling, and then as soon as we get to the hook bend, I do 1 securing wrap just because I'm not that great with the whip finish tool right now. And then I go ahead and trim it off. And then what I do is take my whip finish tool and do a 3 or 4 turn whip finish, keeping it right behind the eye, like so. Pull it tight, snip it off as close as you can, and then you just take your legs here, and the legs I like to cut without stretching about the same length as the hook bend, just like that. And that, my friends, is how you tie the Mare's Mysis by Landon Mare. Thanks for watching.
So thanks for checking out the channel. I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did, go ahead and click this free subscribe button right here. You can also check out our next video over there, or our most recent uploads just above my head. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time on CO Fish Pro.